Hello and welcome to the behind the scenes video of my step-by-step process of making a painting for animation, from storyboard to rough drawing to finished painting. To begin this painting, I start by tracing down a border to represent the edges of the camera. I divide the frame using the rule of thirds, and then I begin sketching. I first go over the scene with my light blue pencil. Once I'm ready to start making decisions on where I want my lines to go, I go back over the drawing with my black pencil, tying down the structure of the drawing. Then, I go over the drawing for a second pass on a second sheet of paper, making a much cleaner and more precise drawing. The tool I'm using here is a slim LED light panel to help me trace my image again. This will be my key art for the painting. Once I'm done drawing this face, I move on to the next step of transferring the art to the sheet of hot press watercolor paper I'll be using for this painting. I'm using my favorite waterproof ink pens to trace the art in bold black lines, to help me see the art even after I've applied a few layers of paint over them. After this, I go over the drawing with my embossing stylus, pressing the inked lines into the paper, leaving invisible dents in the page so that the lines are still visible after multiple layers of paint have been applied over them. And now it's time to get painting. First, I fully saturate my paper with water on both sides of the page. This helps the paper lie flat on my painting board without drying unevenly and causing unwanted warping of the page. I've mixed up some skin tones of gouache paint off to the side, and I begin applying the paint as needed. The colors I'm using are flame red, pale rose, yellow ochre, Van Dyke brown, and black and white for tint. You can see me begin to blend the paints on the page using my 4-inch wide Japanese hake brush. Since my paper is still very saturated with water, the pigments blend very smoothly and evenly. This painting is a bit unusual because it'll be drawn directly over top of by the animator. The eyes and mouth of the character will be animated separately, so I'm deliberately leaving those parts of the face unpainted. Instead, I'm simply adding some gradients of color to the face to imply where those features should go, such as the dark, sunken eye sockets. As my paper slowly begins to dry, I begin going over the page again, steadily adding the finer and finer details, such as the creases of skin or the suggestions of where the hairs will be painted later. By now, the page has dried enough for me to begin adding the textures I want for the painting. Since this is meant to be a comedically detailed, unsettling glamour shot of the character's face, I'm adding a lot more realistic detail, such as painting a lot of 5 o'clock shadow for the character's beard. I had a lot of fun painting all these minute details. I spent roughly 3 days from start to finish on this painting, from rough sketch to finished rendering. It was a bit time-consuming painting dozens of fine facial hairs, but it was worth it for the joke to land. Thankfully, this footage is greatly sped up. I probably spent about an hour and a half just rendering the beard hairs. The character of Mike has a lot of very fun exaggerated details, like his broad eyebrows, curly wavy hair, and other things that I can exaggerate, like giving him blemishes, ear and nose hair, and adding a blood vessel to his temple to exaggerate the strained intensity of his expression. The last step in this painting is going over and rendering the hair, giving it its shading and highlights. And that's it! One hand-painted, very disturbing painting. Thank you for watching, and I hope you found this look behind the scenes interesting and entertaining.